Today I'm with Todd Steele at Metrovino, and we're talking a little bit about how to select a wine. It can be a pretty intimidating process. So Todd's going to give us some tips on where you want to go and how to choose that wine. So where do we start? What do we do first?
Well, the first thing you start with is not just buying a wine because it's got a pretty label.
Okay.
There are plenty of wines out there that have hideous labels that are actually absolutely delicious.
And so pretty label, not necessarily wine.
You know, it means that somebody's definitely paid attention to the product, but who knows what they've done in the winery.
Okay.
The most important thing I find is to actually find someone who understands your tastes,
okay,
and is able to guide you through it, because there are so many wines out there at a ton of different price points. You're not quite sure exactly,
right,
and it's overwhelming, and it can actually create a little tension with people when they're trying to shop for wines.
Sure.
And wine is very subjective, but it's great to find someone. We have a lot of really fantastic independent local wine shops. They host tastings weekly,
okay,
that you can go through and start to develop your tastes. So one of the things that we do here is we do a lot of different comparative tastings, and we have about 100 wines by the glass. So
which is really good, because most people, that's part of the intimidating process, is they don't want to buy an expensive bottle of wine. They just want to taste it.
Absolutely. And you don't want to go spend $30, $40, $50 on a bottle of wine that you're going to pull the cork on and really not enjoy. And I mean, it's really... And it happens. It's happened to everyone, and it definitely, once again, it'll create a bit of defensiveness when it comes to buying wine. And really, the most important thing: find somebody who understands you, understands your tastes, and can guide you.
So the process, like, let's say somebody that they love white wines, but they want to get into red wines. So how do you make a decision on how to move them?
Well, you start to look at what it is that oftentimes when people really love white wines, but they're not a big fan of red wines. They're not a big fan of big, tannic, aggressive wines. So you start with wines like Gamay or Pinot Noir that are a little bit softer in tannin levels, and move from there. And those are nice wines for people that prefer white wines to start with.
Right.
And you can develop and find out what it is that you enjoy.
So it's kind of it's a personal process, because each people, their taste is just a little bit different. So they need to really talk to somebody, whether it be a place here where they can sample small tastes, or whether they go to a winery, or like you said, like a lot of stores, they have tastings on weekends too. And I'm assuming it's kind of important to kind of taste things side by side, so you kind of...
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You can see the differences. And really, once again, if you're with someone knowledgeable, you can say, hey, I really loved wine A, but wine B, it was a little bit this, that, the other thing for me. And you can start to develop your taste.
Right.
And that way, that's kind of empowering, because you go to a store that maybe doesn't have someone behind the counter that's able to walk you through wines. Well, you can say, gee, I've tried a lot of different wines from this area. They're wines that I've enjoyed. I'll take a chance on this. But you're making an informed decision, as opposed to just trying to guess, which is the most difficult part. You walk into a wine shop surrounded by 400, 500 different wines. It's overwhelming.
It's intimidating, yeah. So Todd, if I want to move from white wine to red wine, I want to find somebody that can help guide me in that direction, and then also someone that has a good selection also, and where I don't have to necessarily buy a bottle, and you have a system that does preservation and does just that.
Sure, yeah. We use enomatic machines to preserve and pour a lot of our red and white wines, and the benefit of them is that they allow us to keep a bottle open for up to 90 days. So we can really experiment with higher-end wines, and that allows our customers to do so as well. Maybe come in and try that bottle that you've always read about or seen on a shelf, and obviously, the price point was just not something you would like to take a chance on.
Right.
You can come in and actually get a taste of that wine, and at significantly less than what the full bottle would cost.
It's reasonable, and a taste is actually it's a fair amount of wine.
3/4, almost 2 ounces, and 3 of those equals a glass. So we do a lot of flights as well, which are 3 taste flights that come in for a full glass, and it's fun to experiment and get a sense for what it is that you enjoy on your own, as well as being guided by one of our employees.
And you do have a lot of Northwest wine.
Yeah, about 25% of our list is Pacific Northwest, Oregon and Washington specifically, with a heavy focus on Oregon Pinot Noir.
So besides this preservation system, I happen to love sparkling wine and champagne, as with my wife, and it's typically pretty hard to get by the glass, especially more quality. So you have a system so that you can also pour this by the glass too, and the taste. Yeah,
this is a perlage system. You can get them for home use as well, but it basically keeps the wine under pressure, and it keeps the CO2 in the bottle so you can enjoy the bubbles. And it's an indefinite sort of a scenario. So as long as you keep it in there and keep it pressurized, that wine's going to last. So it enables us to pour really nice champagnes by the glass as well as Prosecco's and so on and so forth.
Well, I know my wife and I are going to be back to enjoy some champagne, and thank you for the expertise in helping us select wines.
You're welcome.